It feels good waking up on this Victory Monday after beating your rival, the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings offense dominated yesterday's game. Kirk Cousins was fantastic. Clint Kubiak, shout out to him. Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. I'm going to give you guys my review of pretty much the Vikings offensive performance and where they go from here. The Vikings offense was dominating yesterday, dominating all four quarters. They were aggressive. They were still able to establish some sort of a run game, and they were great. They took chances when they needed to. The man right here is just special. He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL, and we got a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Vikings offense, talking Kirk Cousins, Clint Kubiak, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, the whole bang. Right now, let's get into it. So the Minnesota Vikings offense, obviously yesterday they hung 34 points on the Packers defense. And coming into this game, remember, the Packers defense, what they've done the last 3 weeks, they've played Kyler, Mahomes, and I believe it was Dak. And they pretty much, or no, not Dak. It was Kyler, Mahomes, and Russell Wilson. And they pretty much shut those guys down. They held them to 0 points, 17 points, and like 20-something points. And they've been on one lately. The Packers defense came into this game hot and ready to go. And it was funny, I made a video earlier this week talking about offensive game plan going into the game. I just said Kenny Clark can't be the reason. Kenny Clark, 97 in the middle, he can't be the reason you guys get absolutely dominated today, because he's a game wrecker. If you allow somebody like that from the interior to game wreck a Kirk Cousins game, it can be a problem, because we all know Kirk, interior pressure, just like all quarterbacks, don't react to it well. And the first couple plays of the game, Kenny Clark put Mason Cole literally in the backfield, and he made him look like he was a high school center, which I got extremely nervous about. But anyways, the Vikings after that, they just kept responding on offense by being aggressive. You know, we got a dose of Justin Jefferson early and often on that big third down play, and then the bomb shot on the next drive that should have been a touchdown, but the 57-yarder was the corner, which was an incredible throw by Kirk Cousins. But that was the mindset, and I said this yesterday in the game review. You know, Kirk, he was a little careless with the football yesterday. I finally saw some of this where he just said, screw it, I'm letting this rip. I'm ripping this football. And even on the pick that he had in where him and Jefferson they had a miscommunication on whether it's like I think it was rather if it was a post or if he wanted to cut it shorter, make it more like a slant, and he threw the pick, but it was a roughing the passer. And I'm like, he still threw that with conviction. He still threw, like, the thing with Kirk that would always drive me crazy is he never really took the chances. Like, I would always say, like, hey, take a pick. Like, I'm fine with you throwing a pick a game. Just you better make sure you're getting to that 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and you're getting number 18 the ball a lot. And that's what he did. I mean, the throw on the 2-minute drive that was overturned because it wasn't actually an interception, the one where everybody thought that was picked off, that was a corner route to Justin Jefferson where he was trying to split the window. I never thought Kirk would throw that. And then the next play after the pick, Clint Kubiak, instead of dialing up a run play, which I thought was going to happen, set it down, 2nd and 5, find Jefferson right over the middle for a quick first down. That was kind of the vibe today. That was I mean, the Vikings offense, it just was smooth. It was just, you know what? You're being aggressive without being overly aggressive. You're trying to establish the run game without committing to the run game. Because yesterday the Packers were doing a phenomenal job of stopping Dalvin. Dalvin still was able to get out there for a couple runs because it is Dalvin Cook and we do have a solid running game. But it just seemed like early on in that game, that could have been a script. Where that could have been where the Vikings just consistently stayed to the run and Kenny Clark has a monster game. No, they got rid of that. They realized Jefferson and Thielen can kill anybody. And it's funny, you know, Jefferson, he's averaging like 155 yards over the last 2 games. But then you look up at Thielen. I mean, he's a consistent 80 yards and a touchdown now. Every single week it feels like. And it just seems like this Vikings offense, they finally have it figured out. They finally have an identity. And that was something we were lacking this entire year. You know, identity in football, it's a funny thing where you want to be like, oh yeah, we're a running team, or we're a passing team, or whatever it may be. We run a spread offense. But the thing is with the NFL, it adjusts week to week. And I think that's starting to be the Vikings' identity, where if you have a team you can run the football on, they will do that gladly. And I think in the past, when they had a team that they could throw for a game that sticks out to me is always the Chicago Bears games. I always feel like the Vikings have the advantage in the secondary in those games, and it just seems like they consistently stick to the run in those moments where I wish they would just kind of open it up and kind of attack the guys on the outside. And that's kind of seemed like what they're doing right now. They're taking advantage of where they have an advantage. You know, I said this last week. Where's the one position group every single week the Vikings will have an advantage like against? That's our wide receivers versus another team's DBs. No matter what the week is, we will have that advantage unless you're going against like the prime Legion of Boom. But even still, Jefferson, Thielen, KJ, it's a tough matchup for DBs in the NFL. So that's why I love Clint Kubiak and offense. They're taking what the defense gives you, which is such like an underrated and underappreciated characteristic of an offense. Because we saw yesterday with the Cowboys, the Chiefs were pretty much begging them to run the football, and they lost their 2 receivers, but they were just so hard-headed on passing the football. For some reason, they abandoned the run. I just think Kubiak is trying to figure it out right now. And the thing about Kubiak going through his struggles earlier, I was really on him. I thought his play calling in some of those games was atrocious, especially Dallas. But for a new offensive coordinator, I've always heard, if it's his first year, judge him on how he comes out of games and halves. That's when you really get to see if he has a feel, because that's when those are the scripted plays. Those are the ones where you know those are hitting, and the Vikings have been amazing in that. It's just he just needs to get to the other level of when it's off script, of when it's not everything's going perfectly, because that's when Super Bowls are won. That's when playoff games are won. When you have a team, they take away something in your game plan, you got to adjust on the fly, because in the NFL, it's one game, it's one quarter, one adjustment can win or lose you a game, and in the playoffs, that's everything. So I'm glad the Vikings honestly went through this early on in the year with the offense, where they had their struggles, where they were figuring out, can we be this explosive passing offense? And they can. If they wanted to throw the ball 50 times a game and be successful, I think they could. But they still have that guy in the backfield. It's starting to feel like this perfect combination of, if you're going to let us run and you're going to drop cover 2 on us, we will run the ball down your throat. But if you're still going to take away this run game, we're just going to let 18 kill you. We're going to let 19 kill you, because they can. They win every one-on-one. And this kid, he's just got so much special on him. I don't know what it is. He reminds me of a young Davante Adams. And I think we're watching like the next D-Hop, the next Davante Adams, and he's in our building. And we should keep him here and throw him the ball a lot before he's happy. Anyways, Vikings offense, phenomenal the past 2 weeks. Clint Kubiak really starting to get it going. Shout out to him. Overall, Vikings offense, this thing is a juggernaut, and it's coming to San Fran next week. Let me know what you guys think down below. Vikings offense been phenomenal so far. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.